Welcome back. Been a while. Been a bit of an off season. Enjoying a bit of off season, a bit of chillax time, really. But bringing a bit of energy back and going to get a podcast out there for you guys today. Just a bit of a bold predictions one for 2024. Myself, Luke from the Rugby League Lounge as well with me. If you haven't already, make sure you go and give Luke some love. Luke, how's your off season been going? You've been enjoying the no footy time, or is it you've enjoyed it and now it's sort of like already itchy feet?
Yeah, I have enjoyed it. I'm someone that does dip their toes in a few other sports. I've got myself into the UFC and also the Rugby World Cup was, kind of in the midst of our start of our off season as well. And yeah, I think I'm lucky in that perspective. I'm not a big cricket fan, but I was keeping up with it as well. So, that always helps. And I do find this next bit we start seeing players training and also the sports that I probably digest probably dying off as well. It's going to be a little bit tougher, but I've enjoyed it. I've taken a little bit of a break from my page, kind of, not even thinking I would, but I think we need it sometimes, and that means we can be full steam ahead for the coming season. So, but I am saying that I am very much looking forward to today, and still have a few takes and a few thoughts that I'm being eager to kind of discuss with someone. So yeah, let's get into it, eh?
Yeah, I want to sort of peel the curtains back a little bit and let the viewers in on our life a little bit. And um, I just you mentioned it then, and it's nice to have that little bit of a break. I'll tell you what, the off season is probably the hardest time to run a page because in during the season there's just always stuff to talk about. There's just naturally you can just come up with a post like that and people will talk about it. In the off season, it is so much harder. I
Mm.
feel like so much more thought needs to go into it to generate the right sort of content that people want to talk about because it's a fine balance. A lot of people are zoned out, but will always have just a bit of a look and just see their rugby league news. So I do personally appreciate everyone still giving the love to the page, and the page is still growing more than ever, and I really do appreciate that. But as you said, let's get into some bold predictions for 2024. As the guest, I'll let you take one for the team and take the first hit up.
Yeah, bold might not be the best word for this one, but look, I think we have just come off probably the moment where Nathan Cleary is finally getting appreciated from everyone. In terms of like for I think all hardcore footy fans know how good Nathan Cleary was, but there was question marks over that big game, those big game moments, and he obviously provided that in that last 20-minute spell in the grand final. And I just see him continuing that form on, and I think he'll finally get his first Dally M this season. And I think that will also, at this stage, and I more just want to lock in that, but I think at this stage I am picking them to win 4 in a row. The Panthers, I do see, not giving too much away, but the other teams I'll touch on probably a little bit later. I just believe they just can, they will deal with adversity. They've dealt with adversity each year in terms of having different players come in, come out of their system, I should say, and different people come back into it, and they've still dealt with it. And they're also going to deal with stuff with the Luai drama. But I think as a whole, I can trust a lot of what they're about, and Nathan Cleary, I definitely can. He's younger than me. He's I turned 26 a couple of months ago, and he turned 26 about a week ago. So,
You're a baby.
uh, yeah, yeah. Hey, I'm going to take that as a compliment there. But no, it's crazy. He is, and I just think like he'll have games where, or maybe people might not think he will win the Delhi M because that's not priority number one. You have to kind of just, pace yourself in a way. But I think while he's pacing himself, the Panthers will still win. He'll still be in control, and he'll still pick up points when, there's a fair share, a fair share of the workload being given out throughout the whole Panthers because he is the halfback and he does have his fingerprints on most things. So yeah, I'm thinking Nathan Cleary will finally get it done. Well, I shouldn't say finally, like you said, he is a baby, but I think also he's had a few injuries throughout the season, throughout other seasons, and he had no rep footy at the back end. So I think that's going to help him stay injury free as well. So yeah,
I,
that's my first bold prediction.
I feel like the other thing that will help Nathan Cleary in terms of the Daly M for next year, um, if you think about the Panthers players, they always share those points because there's been so much quality in that lineup. Every year, the last 2 years, they've lost a bit of that quality. They've lost Coruscant and Kikau, obviously 2 years ago now. They just lost Crichton as well, which would have picked up a lot of points. So Cleary is becoming that main focal point for the voters to look at pretty much each and every game. So I reckon he'll get a lot more points in 2024. So that's not a bad shout. My first bold prediction. So number one, I've got Queensland to sweep Origin in 2024. I look at their lineup. I've looked at their depth today. It's something I'll probably make a post up over the next week or so about. And I just think their depth, and obviously off the back of the news that Ponga is looking to fight his way back into that number one jersey, which is going to be great to watch to the start of the year. Him and Walsh battle it out to see, but the one thing that's scary for mine is there's so much depth all of a sudden for Queensland. It feels like it's come from nowhere as well. Like there was all this talk from a New South Wales point of view going, oh, awesome, going to win the next 4, 5, 6 in a row. Queensland don't have much coming through the ranks. All of a sudden, like you look at those two, there's the Hammers in the centres just carving up. Even when Cherry Evans goes, you've got someone like Dearden coming through the ranks as well. If Sammy Walker from the Roosters can get going, he's in there as well. Like there is so much talent. We're not even talking about the forward pack yet. I just think it's going to be, and I know this is off the back of the Madge, and I know a lot of people are trying to be positive about it. I'm still questioning it. Haven't really wrapped my head around it yet. I don't really feel comfortable with him as the coach. I felt like there was better options to put in there. He got sacked from the team that finished wooden spooners. I don't know if that should be the way you get a promotion in a way. I feel like that should be a promotion, getting the New South Wales job. So yeah, a few things for mine. It doesn't sit well with me in New South Wales how they're still going about things. So my first one is the Queenslanders to sweep 2024. You got the second one
Yeah.
for us?
Oh, that's.
No,
I
you're
hope
happy
you're
about that
right
one.
on that one. Yeah, I do like that one. Yeah, the pessimistic side of me is kind of, but hey, I'll go with you. My one's a bit like open ended actually, and I don't really have like a definite kind of outcome, but I wanted to do one about my club, about the Storm, and I think we're going to have the biggest free agent storyline of 2024. I think either we're going to make a really big signing, or I think because of the forward drum, or this is something I think might happen. And like I said, it's a little bit open ended, and I probably would have put it a bit higher up my bold list, but I do think there's a potential that Mam and Dearden will be rumoured towards us. And I think that will cause a little friction between Munster. I know you have been quite strong on Munster's lackluster season. And I do think that he has been given, it's been a few seasons since that, the big three have moved on. And it's really, he was the one to, kind of be the main guy. Obviously, you've got those other guys in Hughes and Grant, but he was kind of seen as the transition between the two eras. And after a kind of, like I already mentioned, lackluster season, I think if he continues a little bit of that form, I think the Storm can start being a little bit ruthless, especially when we're going to get a new era after Bellamy. Kind of when he eventually leaves, and I don't want him to leave, but just always seems like he's leaving and he signs another 2 years, but that's a story for another day. I just feel like there could be something involved around either those two scenarios where we sign someone big, probably in the forwards. Like, I don't want to say Payne. I know Payne Haas is rumored to be extending or has extended, but something of that proportions, or going the rugby union route or something like that, or a bit of drama because I think we do need to change something up. We really do. I do think we can still, I think at the moment I still have us in the top 4, but I wouldn't be surprised either way. So yeah, I think
there's one player I'm surprised when you mentioned that. I thought you were going down a different avenue here, because there's a lot of depth in another position which you haven't mentioned yet, and I'll mention it and we can have a quick chat about it. Pappenhausen for mine's under a lot of pressure for
Yeah,
2024 in terms of just getting his body right and having a big year in terms of being just on the pitch. I don't mean having any pressure in terms of quality. We know he'll just naturally have that, but it has to surely get to a point for the Storm where with Farlongo coming through, and you've got obviously Nick Meaney who can play there as well, and did a great job I thought in 2023. There's just got to start being some question marks in the Storm hierarchy going, how are we spending the cap money here? Because I've got no doubt there's a lot of Sydney clubs. Obviously, he was originally was a Sydney-based junior, so he'll be going sort of back home essentially. I've got no doubt there's a lot of clubs that will throw some good amount of money at Pappenhausen to risk it, just to see the upside if it does come through. For mine, the Storm don't lose too much because I think, as I said, those two are,
yeah.
especially for mine, Suafa logo. I just think he's the next superstar. I know it's very big to say early on. You don't want to put pressure on him, but I absolutely am all over him at the moment. I love what I'm seeing from him. I love what 2024 has for him, and I just think, yeah, it's a weird one. But from a fan's point of view, obviously you want Pappenhausen to do well for the club and have a great year 2024. We all do, but surely in the back of your mind, there's got to be some sort of, I guess, some sort of question mark there.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it was a little bit of an oversight, actually. And I think in terms of the Pappenhausen angle, like I'm a huge fan of Pappy. I do have, for Storm fullbacks in general, like I think we've had, obviously we've had a surplus of talent there. And I think I've still got so many fond memories. And that injury that he got was just so heartbreaking. And look, the Farlongo pieces really, I think that's the point that you really have nailed there. But if he didn't have that pressure, I would be really confident just to kind of ride it out, and then and then maybe give him another year in 2025. But you are right, like at the end of the day, you got to spend your cap wisely. So that's quite a bit of money there where they could sign Farlongo for a bit cheaper, and then also have money to spend in areas that are notably lacking depth. So yeah, I do agree. I just am hoping that we can get the Pappy that we know. Yeah, I just feel like a bit of it is bad luck, but it's getting to a bit of a point where but like we've seen with going off subject, but we've seen with Ponga this year, he had all those dramas and he got to that delicate form. So I guess there's always that, we just don't want to give up on them too early.
No, definitely not. My second one, I've got the Canberra Raiders to finish in the bottom four in 2024. So that's a bit of a fall from grace and finishing in the finals. I just had a bit of a look at their side. Obviously, at the moment in the page, we're doing a sort of look ahead for each club. And I remember when I did the Raiders, there's quite a lot of youngsters, which is a good thing for the club for the future. But I just think for the immediate future, it's not ideal. But they've got to stick with it. So it could be a tough year. Position wise for the club and results wise, but I think they've got a lot of good foundations there for the future. So in the next 2 to 3 years, I feel like they'll become a very strong club again if they get to hold on to a lot of those players. And you got Ethan Saunders coming from the Eels as well the year after, so got a lot of good young kids coming through. But I just look at it at the moment, and I just feel like it's a roster that for mine I don't see doing much more than a bottom four finish.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I had a bit of a whinge here before the podcast started because I had a top 8 there, and actually I had a full ladder, and it somehow went goodbye. And I do believe I had them second last. Like I think because I think last year too I was down them as well. They are a team that they on paper they definitely don't look like last year they didn't look like a top 8 team when you start comparing. But yeah, I do agree they are young. I think looking on a different subject, and I don't know really what's happening with this next team that's coming in, when they do come in. But I think Jamal Fogarty is coming off contract at season's end, and he just seems like someone that
It just extended.
I just when well, ignore that. But I was about to say he's one of those guys. Yeah, he's one of those guys that just seems like maybe I think he's good to have in there, but also feels like I would like to see him in an environment where a team that's kind of ready to take that next step that might be missing a halfback. And I just feel like with the Raiders, they might be, too many years away. So that's interesting you say that. Yeah, because I was just thinking about Fogarty's situation there, because he seemed like one of the odd men out because they just seem quite young. But yeah, no, I agree with you there. I think, but I think they've got a different fortress up there as well. It's different playing in Canberra, and definitely one of those home grounds that teams do not love going to.
I'll start bold prediction number 3. I've got the new kids on the block, the Dolphins, to make the top 8. I think is an absolute guarantee. I'd probably go as far as I know. I think they'll be a top 6 team. I love everything I'm seeing about the Dolphins for next year. The aging forward pack is somewhat of a worry, but I think they can get around that. They do have some of the younger kids a bit more experienced, and just obviously their back line at the moment. They do have that addition of Flegler in the forwards as well, which is huge. Um, Tommy Gilbert's basically a new signing for him. We know how good he
Mm,
was at the start of last year for the Dolphins, and it was sort of coincided with their downfall was when he got injured. I thought he was their best player at the time, and I love their back line. I would go as far as saying I think it's a top 4 back line in the
yeah.
competition next year. So that's mine. I think the Dolphins are definitely a top 8, if not top 6 team in 2024.
Well, this is my boldest prediction, and I'll roll off it because I think you will understand why. As I agree with you, I think all 4 Queensland teams will make the top 8
Oh,
in 2024. Obviously, I don't have to make too much case for the Broncos. I do think there's a chance to see a dip, obviously, because they're missing the Farnworth and the Flegler, but I think they have found something in terms of a culture kind of shift there. And
yeah.
I think Brendan Pierre-Cora obviously is going to have a bigger role now, as it looks like Capewell has left. But I think like him, he's one of many guys that I reckon are ready to step up. Dean Marin is another one. Ricky's another one that will take another leap. Mam's first, another full year in first grade as well, and we just seen how much he flourished in the big games. So yeah, obviously you've talked fondly about the Dolphins. My only worry about the Dolphins is I feel like injuries hurt every team's, but I do think they are still obviously 2 years into being in top grade. How they're still understandably lacking that depth. But
Yeah.
I do believe that they actually got unlucky with injuries as well last year. And I think
It
that
just came all
excitement.
of a sudden. They were
Yeah.
doing well with it, and then like midway through the year when they needed depth the most, it just all sort of came crashing down, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it reminded me a bit of an adrenaline rush in terms of their footy as well. Something that, like,
Yeah.
obviously being a runner kind of, and then all of a sudden it's gone and you're relying on, just that hardened ticker. And unfortunately, that didn't get them there. The Cowboys, I think they paid for obviously having a hot 2022 and having a really, kind of well spoken about hard off season. And I think that along with the season they had and having a lot of players in the World Cup, I think that hurt them. They seemed to pick up form as the season got on. So I think they can be in for big season. I'm backing Chad Townsend to play better. I think he had a really poor season. And the Titans, I think Des Hasler is going to sort out their biggest weaknesses. A bit of obviously defensive and a bit of culture. And I think Ford and Hasler is a combo to be reckoned with. And I think touch wood. And there's a couple of teams like this. They're gonna be sold on the fullback, and
Yeah.
I think it's not going to be a question that's going to be answered during the season. It's going to be a question that's answered at the beginning of the season. So I think that's
They've
huge.
got 3 realistic options at the back as well. They obviously got Brimson, they got Campbell, and I actually think we'll look out for Keanu Keeney as well, who I think
Yeah,
could come into contention quite early on in 2024 and be another one of those young kids coming through. Just excitement factor, and I like the fact that you brought up the Titans because I've been with your sort of mind frame with the Titans sort of since the Des has the signing, and I don't know if I'm starting to overthink things too much or not, but lately I've sort of been thinking, is this matchup actually going to work? Is this matchup Des and the Titans going to just continue to butt heads because we know what Desi's like and we know what the Titans have been like for basically since their inception. Are they going to be able to handle the Des Hasler sort of football that we know he'll need his side to play to get the results? We all
Yeah,
know in theory
yeah,
it
mm,
should that they should do it and they should evolve, but we also know in footy it takes a lot to evolve players into different sort of qualities and quantities, sort of playing style that they need to do. So I'm very excited to see the Titans in 2024. I'm just cautious about putting him in the top 8 yet. I still have some things to think about with the Titans, but I definitely am excited to see how that partnership ends up going for 2024.
yeah. One of the biggest reasons I have faith is, yeah, like you touched on with the Dolphins about their potential for their backline. I feel the same about their forward pack. Like I think it is awesome, and related to that is Tino as a leader. I'll never forget that short kickoff years ago, and he really took accountability. And I think he's gone through a lot of hardship with the Titans already, and being kind of doubted as the paycheck that he's been given, and along with Fafita, and they've found success as well. So they have had that taste, and they know that payoff is going to happen eventually as they have experienced success in the Origin arena. And I've got a lot of faith in them, and I think it's just all going to tie together with Hazard. So yeah, I'm optimistic, obviously, on the Queensland chances. To be honest, the Dolphins are the ones that I'm probably the most lukewarm about. But yeah, like you, I've kind of started to fade there, but I'm holding on hope.
Number 4, I'll kick us off once again. One that's in the media at the moment are two players for mine, Aiden Fanua-Blake and Jerome Luai. You mentioned about Penrith a bit earlier, sort of works in a little bit with what you're talking about. But I've got both players will be playing for different teams once next year's competition starts. I know that the Warriors has come out and AFB have come out and said they want to get through next year, but I just have a feeling there's going to be too much. He's already planned to do all their tours
Mm,
and things like that of other clubs. I think clubs will be desperate, especially the ones that are going after him, to get their basically shit in order, not and do not wait till 2025. They want to get it done ASAP. So that means player swaps or whatever, they'll do it. It's the same with Luai. If he's going to say, let's go to the Tigers, I've got no doubt Benji Marshall wants to land some big fishes before the start of next year and really hit the ground running. So I don't think he'll wait until 2025 and play nice Tiger basically to the other clubs and bow down to their needs. I think he'll try and use these players. I think Tigers for mine should be going hard for both of these players, by the way. But yeah, if it's them, the Dragons, or the Dogs, I don't think they'll be playing too nicely. I know that the clubs where they're at will hold the power, but at the same time, if you can get a good swap deal happening or move around some salary cap dramas, and say from the Penrith side of things, it means they can keep some of their young kids and let Lua go, who's already said basically he's going. And then for the Warriors as well, they can just keep building and we've already seen a few rumours about around with Capewell and the like going over there. So I just feel like both players, I think, will be lining up for in different colours for next year.
So you're saying 2024? Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
geez,
So in the
yeah.
next month or two, I think both of them will be signing elsewhere.
Okay. You know what? As a footy fan, I do hope that. I think that always that unrest, that unknown about how, like, and I'm not, and it's not like a character judge person, but how much do they want to be there, and obviously because yeah, and how much are they really thinking about? And I think it's always it's beneficial if you can just move it along earlier. Like, yeah, it might afford them a few wins, but look at the grand scheme of things. I
You know
would,
what I also think it's big, then this is a bit different because the
mm,
three clubs I mentioned have been at the bottom now for what
yeah,
it's felt like 4, 5, 6 years. And I just think it's
100%.
at the point now where their fans are actually just over it. They need changes now. And I think these three clubs will do silly things to get players of this quality in their lineup ASAP. So stuff starts to change. Yeah, I feel
Yeah,
like rugby league's a funny game sometimes. And I think there's going to be some funny things about to happen.
yeah, no, I definitely agree there. I want to talk about. You talked about a potential former Riot. I've got one that has left the club. Josh Curran
Ooh,
is one of my low key faves. Like, I just think he's awesome. He's one of those guys that, like, I was
can't
talking
believe
about.
they let him go.
Yeah, I was one of those guys with Jamal Fogarty where I was thinking if a new club comes in, who is one of the first guys I'd look to sign that's not one of the big guys, big name, like, 1,800,000 guys, and Josh Curran is top of mind. Because I think, I kind of view the spine. I don't think every team, but all the top teams are spine as a 5-player spine now after 13. And Curran obviously played a lot of bench, played a lot on the edge, but I do see him, if he is treated this way, having a full off season as a 13, I just think he's special, and I think he will be bang for buck the best signing for 2024. Probably similar to a Jermaine Hopgood, because I ultimately do not see the Bulldogs making the 8, but I think he'll get everyone excited. I also am going to
Low
go
blow.
and say is that he will be a New South Wales Smoky, and that is
Ooh,
my pick. I think the Blues need something different. I think Madge is coming in, and there's a fresh slate there, and I think he brings toughness, he brings want, he brings, like, as in wanting just to be there in any capacity.
yeah.
He's got that versatility, and I think they may need that versatility. And I just think he's going to bring this kind of awkwardness in a way, and I just love him, and I think he is going to flourish for the Bulldogs, and I think the Bulldogs are going to know that he is. I hope he's there 13, because I know that's not guaranteed, but I really hope it is. I think it'll be a wasted opportunity if he's not.
Yeah, no, I agree. Last one. Who wants it? Who wants the honours?
Oh, yeah.
Off
I've
you.
been too positive, so I better go negative.
Here
Um,
we go.
Yeah, I think I'm actually gonna throw 3 clubs in here. I talked about 4 teams that I believe will be in there in Queensland. I'm gonna go Sydney. I think the 2 powerhouses, the two first clubs to enter competition, Rabbitohs and the Roosters. At this stage, I'm open to change my mind, but I think they will both miss out on the 8. Also, and
Oh,
this might be the boldest one actually, I think the Sharks will miss the 8 too. The Sharks haven't.
oh,
Why have the Sharks really added? Like, and I just think
yeah.
it's a very fluid. It's been a very fluid year. I think a lot of the top 4 teams got better, and
Couple of
I think,
years.
yeah, I just I think if we look at paper, especially with those Roosters and Rabbitohs, yeah, they've got top 8 teams, no doubt about it, and so do the Sharks. But especially the Roosters and Rabbitohs, they got those household names, and you could say, yeah, Latrell and Cody when they're together, they're great. But yeah, especially when they're together, they're great. And then what's all the and when they come back, Latrell's got to get into fitness. There's questions about the other players not stepping up, and I just don't see that changing. Walker's getting older. Yeah, and Cook's another year older, and the Roosters again. There's been rumors now, or not rumors, but questions about is it time to switch Manu to fullback? They've got a lot of unrest happening there. So yeah, and the Sharks, like I said, I just think yeah, they've great. They've built something. Craig Fitzgibbon looks like he is a fantastic coach, but yeah, there's other teams that are just in the hunt now, and I just don't know what they're adding to kind of put themselves above the rest of the pack. And
Yeah,
2 years in the top 8 from not being in the top 8 is really successful. That is awesome. Um, yeah, but that's still an impressive feat. So can they keep sustaining that? I don't know. I don't
yeah.
know.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see what they have and what they do next year. The Sharkies. I was going to actually say they're not going to make the 8 either, but then I remember they got a really easy draw. So once
Oh,
again,
really?
they've been looked after by the NRL, and they've probably got the softest run of
Mm.
anyone. So we'll see what happens. But I am with you with the Sharkies. I just feel like they're not offering a whole heap, and I feel like this is a big year for a lot of the Sharkies players and Craig Fitzgibbon to start getting this team right, because it just feels a bit off still. It just feels like there are a few players, and for mine, Connor Tracy should have gone straight into that starting team next year, and he's been one of the players let go. So I know they've got a couple of good young kids, Dykes and Iro coming through,
Mm.
and Iro, sorry, coming through. But I just, yeah, it'd be interesting. I hope they let those two young kids play quite a bit of time next year. My big one, my bold prediction, or biggest bold prediction of 2024, I've got Turbo bounces back and wins the Dally M. I
Oh
think
wow.
if we can see the Tommy Turbo, obviously of old, will be an absolute treat. I just think, I know one thing. If he can play over 20 first grade games, which is a big if from what he's had the last couple of years, he will win the Dalium. I got no
Yeah.
doubt about it. The media will be all over him. They love him, rightly so. He's a fantastic player. Hopefully, he's going to have quite pretty much the whole off season, I believe, with his injury hopefully recovered in time. And hopefully that just means a fully fit Turbo, which is a scary thing. And it's pretty cool to think about. Round one in Vegas, you got two fullbacks who were under the pump in 2023. We didn't get to see the best of them really. Him and Latrell will be going up against each other, so that's really cool. And yeah, put not your house on it, but look at the odds when it's released, and I think a nice little cheeky 5 or 10 on Turbo getting the Dally M, but always gamble responsibly.
I disagree.
Oh,
Not because it is a bold take. I think he'll be centre.
I still think he can do it from there, though.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
agree with you. I
yeah.
agree with you, but I think they'll focus a lot of their attack around him, and he'll still generate points.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I was gonna lean this. I'm leaning towards the Seagulls making the 8 next year. Yeah, I think and I could have gone a few different ways, but I do think that Seabold will find something with a lineup that they can stick with Turbo at centre, and I think Luke Brooks will actually be one of the better signings. And I think Cooler will also have a big season as well. So yeah, no, it's an interesting take. I hope so, but I think that he might need to do that shift, which I was totally against a couple years ago, to avoid those injuries from happening. So yeah, I think he'll be in the Blues side this year. I think he will get. I think he. My probably bold prediction will be he plays every game for the Blues this year, which probably actually is a lot bolder than it might seem at face value. But yeah, no, I as a footy fan, I hope you're right, because at the end of the day, arguably the best individual season we've ever seen. So why would you not want to see that, eh? It was freakish. The things we were saying, the things about his season, the things we were seeing, yeah, unheard of. And yes, it was a new era rugby league with the attacking system being very much favoured, but still, it's special. Yeah, no one has quite done it like him since then. So yeah, I hope so, mate. I hope so.
I agree, and that's all we've got time for. That's just our bold predictions, our very, very early bold predictions for 2024. I got no doubt, knowing how me and Luke work, we will have probably another video in about 2 or 3 months' time before the season kicks off with some more bold predictions. But I hope you do like the video or the podcast, however you have listened. But the video, note in the comments. I think you can do it now via the podcast as well. Let us know your bold prediction for 2024. Way, way too early ones. And then just, if you can, just hit that like button on either the video or the podcast. Goes a long way to helping support the channel. But hopefully you got your bit of your footy fix. That's what we wanted to do and achieve today. We'll have a bit of a chat. We'll bring you some more throughout the off season. So keep an eye on it and make sure you hit follow so you get all the notifications when our new content does come out. But Luke, once again, Rugby League Lounge, go and give him a follow. And thank you once again for being part of it.
Cheers, team. Have a good one, eh?